Welcome back, Identity 5 Gamers. I know it's been a while since I posted, but I got some new, fresh gameplay tonight that I'd like to take a look at, so let's get into the video. Alright, so we got pretty much a traditional spawn here. So I've been starting to pick up hullabaloo, so I thought that'd be kind of cool, just kind of coming back to the channel, just kind of updating what I'm doing. So this has been one of my newer kind of experiments here, and hullabaloo I find is really good against Professor, and that's kind of partially why I went by this. Also, this was the meta character that they didn't ban in rank. And also you may see there's a seer in this match. I've been starting to get into a habit of not banning characters in rank, mostly because I don't feel like I need to, but two, I feel like it also leads me to be a little bit more flexible by not having to be super reliant on it. So one thing that I really like about the matchup against Professor is that if he's in the red zone, he doesn't have access to his little thing anymore. You can see it keeps getting kind of blocked out, and it has like a little second before you can actually activate it. Missed that, but if I can get him in like the red zone and then quickly kind of hit him, then that can be kind of fine. Almost knocked him there, but you can see I am carrying insolence, so that makes it so that I can kind of hit that presence one. And I am able to down the Professor there. He didn't get his flywheel out. Ooh, my face is kind of blocking it, but this is about 80% on each of the ciphers. And I did end up getting wanted order on the Magician. I like carrying wanted order on Hulla, and I could see that one of the cipher popped, and so I see Magicians coming to the rescue. Now, one thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get kind of a starting hit, and then I like placing my little guy right at the chair. And if that seer owl wasn't there, that almost surely was going to be a stuff. But I end up getting... He ends up getting his skin off, the Professor does. So that makes it so that I have to get him down for another hit. So I wasn't able to go super hard for a double hit, but still I am in a winning position. So I take this Professor down to the chair. Now, I had a feeling I knew where they were at, kind of the spot at shore. I didn't see the cipher wiggling, so I hesitated a little bit. But I definitely could have jumped this rock and kind of went for it, but they end up getting the heal done just in time. And I like getting one hit on the survivor and then kind of placing this right on chair. Maybe it's slightly the wrong order, but I end up losing the Professor here for a second, which is kind of goofy. But from here, now I just need one more in the white zone, so I'm able to jump over, get that hit. Nice quick reaction time. I recorded this when I was in my apartment, and my apartment has much better ping, so I was able to do that. And now that is my first survivor eliminated. Now the big thing here is all about whether or not the Magician has enough progress on the cipher. And you can see it gets to about 80, which is enough for me to sufficiently pressure here. And I see Magician is right there. I kind of get a blind snipe, at least one of them there. And I try to go for a second one, but end up missing. So I'm trying to get at least one hit on the Magician. If I can get a stuff, that's even better. But you'll have to just wait and watch what happens here. So you can see I'm able to almost get the snipe on the Magician there. But I end up getting the terror shock there again because he was in the black zone when he was trying to go for that rescue. I was able to go for a quick swing. And then if I end up just getting this final stuff on the seer, then that's pretty much game over. And this is the thing about hullabaloo: if he catches survivors out nice and early, it's so hard to rescue against him. And look at this nice placement right there. There was not a whole lot the seer could have done there, and that was a 4K in just under 5 minutes. So let's take a look at the next match. Now, this next match is on Moonlit, so we got a Composer, a Mercenary, a Lucky Guy, and a Novelist. And this is the match, I think I had this match literally like 20 minutes ago. So I end up with this kind of spawn setup. I wanted my main body to go towards the Novelist direction, and I wanted my Ghost to pressure Lucky Guy there. Now, Lucky Guy is one of those characters that usually, if he's in the match, you're kind of required to commit, but I was trying kind of something a little bit different. I see Novelists in this area, and I just want to I want to chase him instead. I thought about mind gaming this area right here, but that wasn't working too well. And I kind of noticed this novelist looking back a lot. So he has flywheel here, so with a good prediction, he can kind of flywheel a scare. Or if he's in the area, he can do a flywheel there. But he ended up, I wonder if he was going for a flywheel there and then accidentally hit his book. I'm kind of thinking that's what happened. But I get a really nice follow-up here, if you kind of see in a second. He ends up getting, every novelist is going to go for this same trick all the time, but he gets super greedy. So I see he's looking back trying to charge his book, and I'm able to get a nice 1-2 there. And if novelist wasn't getting greedy and just ran away, he would have been able to have probably a guaranteed 3 cipher kite, but he was very greedy trying to get that book back, which against Ivy doesn't really care about the novelist matchup too much. Usually novelist is going to get 1 book use, and then you're kind of expected not to look back and recharge it afterwards. So it's pretty much a single use item if you're using novelist against Ivy, but again, he's getting greedy. I was kind of thinking that mercenary might get aggressive and try to do something a little bit cheeky there. Get a rescue right away, but I end up continuing on after novelist. So my max presence is almost here, not quite, but I end up, just to get this mind game around this pallet, I got my ghost leeched on the novelist. So now he's at 60. Anytime a survivor's at 60, your big number to keep in mind for chase is 60, because your scare does 40. If he reacted fast enough, maybe he could have flywheeled that, but anyways, I'm gonna take the novelist back to the chair, and I believe this is, yeah, he has 1 more chairing. Now this is where a lot of Ivy players kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit. So your main focus at this point, if you can get an elimination on the cipher, you're going to be really, if you can get your first elimination before the pop, you're going to be really happy. I noticed he wasn't using his perfume, so I just kind of went for that, and novelist in a moment. Yeah, I got my max presence there, so I was able to get that on novelist. And the funny thing about this scare is that I scared in the direction so that now my ghost is on top of the little 4-stop area, which I thought was kind of goofy. Lucky Guy was trying to open a chest there, try to get a little bit aggressive, but also another thing, a little trick to keep in mind with the ghost is that it actually can interrupt certain interactions like vaults and stuff. So that's what I was going for right then. And notice how I'm not really hardcore committing to 1 survivor. I'm kind of splitting my attention between all 3, trying to keep the cipher rush to a minimum. And until I'm able to find my opportunity, which I was with the mercenary. If he was hugging those walls, it was going to be a lot harder for me to kind of make some counterplay happen there. But the final cipher is at about 75, so I didn't see them healing right away. I only catch on after Lucky Guy gets his heal in place. So here Composer goes for the last cipher. I make kind of a slight mistake. I say slight mistake, but it ends up working out just fine. The big thing I want to kind of point out is kind of how the end game works out here. So I probably should have a little bit earlier teleported to Composer, but I end up going for this instead. So I see that it's primed, and I'm trying to get him down here, and he ends up getting 99, which is so annoying. But notice how I don't get aggressive. I prioritize the gate pressure. Even though I probably could have gotten Composer down there, I end up going for this down on the Lucky Guy, taking him to the chair. And the big thing I want to do with the ghost is to go towards the first stop exit. Sometimes these end games on the larger maps can be a little bit complicated if you're not all the way set up, but I noticed that mercenary was going this way. So I wanted to get some scare, get some pressure on. So I end up going for that first, and then I end up, since Max Presence hadn't reached its cooldown yet, I continue pressuring the mercenary towards the direction of this gate because I was kind of under the impression that I would be able to make it in time. But I see mercenaries right there. So after I get this composer down and chaired, I know he's going for the other cipher. So I'm going to just go for this chairing. And then I have plenty of rocks around the area, which makes my map pressure really nice. And if he ever doubles back, then I'll be able to pressure with the ghost, which you see I am going to do in a second. I see he's right there. I wanted to get the chase initiated so that hunt happens, and then I end up getting, yeah. I still have 27 seconds of detention. Now, I end up doing that just to kind of interfere with the interaction. Now, from here, it's just not allowing either of them to touch a gate. And so I know Mercenary is going to go down anyways. This ends up being a little bit of a cheeky little interaction. I end up being the first one to click going into the coaster, and then it was just really funny. I ended up going the first one specifically so that they couldn't start the coaster. Don't get to do that too often, but I thought it was really funny. So anyways, I know it's been a while since I posted. Hope you enjoyed the matches, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.